The Switch 2 is over 10 times more powerful than the original Nintendo Switch. But is it enough to completely replace a $2,000 gaming PC? To find out, I unplugged my entire setup, keyboard, mouse, monitors, everything. And for the next 7 days, every single game I played had to run on this tiny handheld console. And in this video, we're not only gonna see if the Switch 2 is worth the price, but also if it can truly replace my $2,000 PC. Starting with the unboxing. Despite not owning the original Switch, I could already tell that they made huge improvements with the new Joy-Cons. The colors look less childish, but still have the signature red and blue color scheme. I couldn't help but notice though that the triggers are still just buttons. Congratulations Nintendo for making negative progress across 24 years. Fuck you, Luigi. As for the console itself, I have zero complaints. It's 10 times faster in raw performance, and that's without mentioning the 7.9-inch screen. With a higher refresh rate and a better resolution, it's undoubtedly multiple steps up from the last generation. The only problem is that none of the software takes advantage of it. It doesn't even run 120 FPS in the home menu. Let's just hope the games take advantage of the 120Hz screen, because it sure would be a shame if there was only one game in the entire Switch 2 catalog that runs 120 FPS. But more about that later. Moving on to the setup process of the Switch 2, it's one of the few consoles I've ever used where I could go from box to game in under 5 minutes. And compared to the 6 hours it took to set up this PC, it's not even a contest. Of course, I had to give myself a name, and what better name to give myself than Gert. After setting everything up and picking my gamer tag, it was time to officially start the 7-day challenge to find out if this tiny handheld console is truly enough to completely replace a gaming desktop. Right off the bat on day 1, one thing became obvious fast. Unlike any previous handheld I've owned, the Switch 2 is really two different consoles. But like any other 2-in-1 product, at least one of its functions had to be compromised. As a portable console, it's impressive, being nearly 10 times more powerful than the previous generation, and probably the most efficient one in the world. But when in docked mode, it's not even close to a similarly priced PS5 or even a budget gaming PC. So when I booted up my first game on this thing, I knew I had to come in with different expectations. The first game I installed was Rocket League. Now I know that's not exactly the kind of game people rush to a Nintendo console for, but I wanted to test its performance on a game that I've been playing almost every day. Oh, do it to him! Don't do it to him! Don't do it to— oh. Before jumping into something like Mario Kart World, which we'll get to in a second. But though Rocket League might be easy to run, the stakes were high, because if the Switch 2 couldn't handle this smoothly, the entire challenge was doomed from the start. When the game loaded up, it looked decent, but it didn't look or feel quite like 1080p or 120 FPS. For context, on 120 FPS, I would usually be able to hit absolutely disgusting clips and shit on the average GC3 in a 1v1. But on the Switch 2, I was moving more like a Diamond 3. Oh my god, I flicked it! That's my first flick on Switch, by the way. To make sure my eyes weren't deceiving me, I paused the game and made a quick search to see if it actually supports 120 FPS. Just like how you should search for my Twitch, link in the description. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, hitting disgusting clips and running viewer games every stream. So follow me on Twitch, you do not want to miss that. Out of over 11,000 games compatible with the Switch 2, I expected at least a few lighter titles such as Rocket League to support 1080p at 120 FPS by now, but only 2 of them do, and one of them is the Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and the only actual game that runs at 120 FPS, Metroid Prime 4, is locked to 720p. You could argue it's to save battery, sure, but when the console's docked and plugged into the wall, Metroid Prime 4 is still the only title that runs 1080p at 120 FPS. One game. That's it. For a $450 console with not a single game fully utilizing the panel is a huge miss. The screen is one of the Switch 2's biggest selling points, but Nintendo refuses to capitalize on it, at least for now. Still, I went back into Rocket League with an open mind. I obviously didn't expect myself to be hitting the triple flip resets I'd normally be doing on PC, but I'm hoping it's at least playable. But the second I hopped into free play, everything fell apart. The input delay is unbearable. However, Rocket League wasn't the only game where I felt the input delay. Matter of fact, you're going to feel it in every game you play. Just look at it. I'm turning left and it's still moving right. Speed flipping was doable since it's all muscle memory, but anything to do with reactions or timing like dribbling was deadass impossible on day 1. And I'm not just being dramatic. I actually lost to my platinum friend who started 2 months ago, and I've beaten him by 26 goals in the past. So yeah, if this was supposed to be the warm-up game to test the console's potential, we were off to a rough start. And it's only gonna get worse as I discover more issues and bugs with this seemingly unfinished version of Rocket League. But seeing as I'm forced to use this console for the rest of the week anyways, I thought I might as well train myself to get as good as possible with this input delay. And to see if I've actually improved at the end of the week, I'm gonna try to beat my Champ 3 friend in a 1v1. But after losing to a platinum on day 1, I've got a long journey ahead of myself. On the morning of day 2, I think it's time we give the Switch 2 a fair shot with a game that was actually built for it.
Oh my god, it's Super Mario! Super Mario, bro! Hey, Super Mario! Oh my god, man! Mario Kart, man.
So I installed Mario Kart World and earned my first gold trophy. And for the next 7 days, my goal in this game is to get a gold trophy in every single Grand Prix there is. And by the end of the day, I was able to get 2 of 8 gold trophies. At this point, you might be wondering why I haven't been using the Switch 2 for anything other than gaming. And the simple answer is that it just doesn't come with YouTube or a browser. So I couldn't consume content or do productive tasks that I would otherwise be able to on other consoles. So yeah, that's why I said in the intro that every single game I played had to run on the Switch 2, not every single software. Ain't no way they got support for this before YouTube. On day 3, I continued to make serious progress in Mario Kart World. I finished all 8 Grand Prix at 150cc and got the gold trophy for 4 of them, leaving only half of them to get with half of the week to go. And to my surprise, I was actually getting really good at Rocket League.
What? Rejected by Anthony Davis.
He saved my first flip reset on the Switch.
After playing quite a few casual games against diamond players, I managed to hit my first flip reset.
Oh!
It was ugly, it was scuffed, but it went over 2 diamond defenders.
I did that on the freaking Switch.
And at that moment, I knew there was still a chance I could beat my Champ 3 friend in a 1v1, but it was still a long way to go until I was ready. Although my skills were improving, my list of issues with this version of the game continued to grow. Occasionally, I'd find that the ball circle just despawns randomly, and while I was getting used to the input delay and hitting some hard shots here and there, I kept own goaling. On day 4, I would continue to sweat on MKW. Yo, they made a cup just for me! During this day, I made significant progress and finally got the gold trophy in the Leaf Cup, what I personally found to be one of the hardest cups in the entire game, so I was super stoked on that. And as you could expect, after 4 straight days of grinding the game, I found my first exploit. While you're in first place and a blue shell is coming towards you, you'd typically be incapable of dodging it without specific items, timing, or rewinding. But all I did was accidentally pause the game, resume, and the blue shell disappeared. Earlier, I mentioned that Nintendo might be limiting the Switch 2's performance to preserve battery life. After all, having the home menu run at 120 FPS would be a complete waste of power. But on day 5, I started to get a little bit curious. How good is the battery really? Well, Nintendo claims the Switch 2 should last anywhere from 2 to 6.5 hours, depending on the game. That's a pretty big range, so I decided to find out for myself. First, I disabled the stop charging at 90% setting just to make sure I had access to the full battery capacity, and by 2 hours and 7 minutes, I was sitting at just 8%. To be honest, playing a children's racing game non-stop for over 2 hours was frying my brain cells. So I decided to drain the final few percent with Fortnite, a game I hadn't touched since day 1. And you can see why.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell.
This game was literally unplayable on the Switch 2, and these uncomfortable ass Joy-Cons with their tiny buttons and stubby f***ing sticks were not helping. But finally, after 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 25 seconds, the Switch 2 completely powered off. So Nintendo wasn't lying. By day 6, turning on the Switch 2 in the morning had become part of my daily routine. It may not be nearly as powerful as the PC it's trying to replace, but man is it convenient to boot up for some quick games. However, the main goal of day 6 was to get the last 2 gold trophies that I haven't been able to get for the longest time, the Star Cup and the Banana Cup. 2 cups I've only been able to get silver trophies in until this day. Birdo kept shitting on me in the Banana Cup on every single attempt, but on my 5th try, I was barely able to edge out the final run due to pure luck. Shout out to the CPU that blew Birdo's back out right at the end. With the Banana Cup completed, there was only 1 more to go, and after 4 very frustrating attempts at the Star Cup, every gold trophy was completed, leaving only 1 thing left to do on the last day of the challenge. It is finally day 7. The only remaining task I needed to complete was beat my Champ 3 friend in a 1v1. On the first game, I was low-key surprised I managed to keep it this close, but on my final chance with the ball at 0 seconds, it all fell apart. Oh my god, that is so weak. And that's when the true difficulty of the challenge finally hit me. The input delay made it nearly impossible to control a clean dribble, and I ended up losing by just 1 goal. However, it was still a good start, and I tried bringing that momentum into game 2, only for the game to crash. I honestly can't remember the last time a console game crashed on me. In game 3, I was trailing again, but a perfectly timed demo gave me a chance to stay in it.
Oh, demo of the century. Let's go.
I then had a shot to tie it at 0 seconds, but immediately dropped it once again. In game 4, I lost the game and the footage. By the time I queued into game 5, I knew my only chance of winning was if Pixel got tired and started throwing. But unfortunately, I was the one who started throwing, making game 5 my worst game and my first forfeit. Bruh. Game 6 was even worse. A 0-goal game and another forfeit.
Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh, man.
Then came game 8, and somehow something clicked. With only a bit over a minute left to play, I somehow had the lead, and all I needed to do was to not throw the game.
Oh,
And against all odds, I managed to hold my lead all the way up until the last second.
and that's GG. I won. Let's go.
I'm the greatest Switch player of all time. So after 7 full days, did the Switch 2 successfully replace my gaming PC? Not even close, but that's not really the point. I went into this hoping it could do the impossible, but the Switch 2 isn't supposed to be a PC replacement. It's a powerful handheld console, and in that category, it's arguably the best one you can buy right now. But for $450, it's still missing key features and useful apps, and the fact that only one game supports 120 FPS is disgusting. That said, for anyone looking for a portable gaming machine, the Switch 2 makes a ton of sense. And if you enjoyed this video, it would also make a ton of sense to watch this video next.